What's going on, guys? Back with another video. So I'm sure by now you've all heard that the Air Canada workers are on strike and they want to negotiate fair wages and they want to be paid not just during the flight but before and after when they're still doing work. It's pretty reasonable, right? Well, this is from Mark Nixon. He posted a video of Patty Hadou, who is the federal jobs minister. And he says, "Congratulations, Canada. You voted for Liberals. You got worst inflation in 40 years. You got unaffordable housing. And now you're not even allowed to strike for fair wages. Enjoy the ride." So here's a video of Patty Hadou talking about this today. And what she has to say might shock you. We're going to have a look at this. And then we're going to have a look at a statement that Pierre Poilievre made. He actually wrote a letter to Patty Hadou urging her to allow these workers to fight for fair wages. But apparently Patty Hadou and the Liberal government disagree. So let's have a look here. And before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help grow the channel. I appreciate you guys so much for doing that. All right, let's have a look at Patty Hadou talking about this issue.
It's a pleasure to be with you here today on the traditional territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. After 8 months of negotiations and weeks of intensive mediation, Air Canada and the Canadian Union of Public Employees flight attendants were unable to reach a tentative agreement. The government firmly believes that the best deals are reached by the parties at the bargaining table, and we will never stop believing that. It's not easy, but when parties put in the hard work at the table, Canadians are better off as a result.
Winners.
In this instance, and despite resolution on a number of key items, this dispute will not be resolved quickly enough. And the impact of the work stoppage at Air Canada that began early this morning is already being felt by travelers. This is causing significant harm and has negative impacts on Canadians and the Canadian economy. It impedes the movement of passengers and critical cargo, such as pharmaceuticals, and it strands thousands of Canadians abroad, making it extremely costly and sometimes impossible to book new flights. Canadians have already sacrificed a lot in this uncertain economy, and this labor disruption is adding to their worries and financial burdens. As Minister of Labour, I have exercised my authorities under Section 107 of the Canadian Labour Code to direct the Canada Industrial Relations Board to order the parties to resume and continue their operations and duties in order to secure industrial peace and protect the interests of Canada, Canadians, and the economy.
Isn't that nice? They're forcing them back to work. I thought the Liberals were the ones who were supposed to stand with the working class, but they're not. Oh, the deal wasn't done quickly enough. Well, sometimes it takes time, and again, it's ridiculous that they don't get paid pre-flight and after flight when they're working, cleaning up, helping passengers. They don't get paid for it? And the Liberal government's had enough. They're stepping in. Unbelievable.
I've also asked the board to assist the parties in reaching a settlement of the outstanding terms of their collective agreement by imposing final and binding arbitration, and to extend the terms of the existing collective agreement until a new one is determined by the arbitrator. Flight attendants play a critical role in getting Canadians to where they need to go safely, and they deserve to be compensated and treated fairly at all times. My job as Minister of Labour isn't to take sides during labour disputes. It's to give the parties the tools that they need to reach a fair and timely agreement while keeping the best interests of Canadians at heart. And that's why I intervened today. Canada's economy has seen unprecedented attacks on trade and significant tariff actions. Amid these challenges, Canadians have been stepping up for months to support their friends and their neighbours and their local communities. In a year where Canadian businesses and families have faced too much disruption and uncertainty, they shouldn't have to shoulder another blow. We will not leave them behind.
No, you're just going to leave the workers behind, which is something they said that they would stand up for. So now you have an arbitrator coming in, and I just have a feeling Air Canada, the company, is going to get the better deal out of this. Call me conspiratorial. I just have a feeling the workers are going to get screwed yet again. And of course, she's got to bring up the tariffs. They got to do the fear-mongering. That's part of their business. It's how they got elected. It's unbelievable. Now, we have something from Jing Leahy. Pierre Poilievre fought for better wages for flight attendants while Mark Carney's jobs minister threw them under the bus and banned their ability to strike for fairer wages. Remember this the next time you vote. So here's the letter. To the Honorable Patty Hadu, Minister of Jobs and Families. Dear Minister Hadu, I am writing to urge you to amend the Canada Labour Code to require that federally regulated airlines pay flight attendants for all hours that they are on duty, not just time spent in the air. Today, many airlines begin paying flight attendants only when the aircraft doors close, the plane pushes back, or the wheels leave the ground. But crews are expected to arrive well before that to conclude safety checks, assist boarding passengers, handle delays, and perform other duties. They remain on duty after landing to assist passengers and complete post-flight tasks. All this is work, yet much of it goes unpaid. No other federally regulated worker would accept being on the job without being paid, and neither should flight attendants. It's time to end this outdated and unfair practice, which is why in the last Parliament, Conservatives introduced Bill C-409, which would have ensured that flight attendants are paid for their pre- and post-flight work time. I urge your government to update the Labour Code to ensure flight attendants are paid for every minute they're required to be at work, from check-in to sign-off. These professionals play a vital role in our transportation system and deserve compensation that reflects the full scope of their responsibilities. Sincerely, Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party. Now, I'm sure a lot of you remember Jagmeet Singh talking about how the Liberals and the Conservatives won't stand up for workers. Well, first of all, Jagmeet Singh, you propped up that very Liberal government, and here's Pierre Poilievre standing up for workers. What a fool you are. And your party crashed out at your response, at your leadership, if you even want to call it that. Almost like he did it on purpose to stop the Conservatives from winning, and now you have a Liberal government who still won't stand up for workers. Unbelievable, right? I know a lot of people will say, well, there's people stranded and, they drop them off on vacation. Now there's no one to pick them up. I agree with that. You don't want people being stranded wherever they're on vacation or on a business trip. They need to come home as well. Fully understand that they need to be at work. But that doesn't mean workers need to be unpaid for work that they're doing. That shouldn't even be legal. And the Liberal government has a chance to do that, and they're not. They're just ordering them back to work. It just goes to show you that the Conservatives are the only ones who are showing remorse for these unpaid at time flight attendant workers. As soon as they clock in, they should be paid, and as soon as they sign off, that's when they stop being paid. But they're not being paid for pre- and post-flight boarding tasks? That's crazy to me. I didn't even know that. That's wild. Now, if they did this to a federal government worker or a member of parliament or a member of the cabinet, they would be up in arms, right? What do you mean I'm not paid for being here in question period? And not only that, they get paid by the salary, not by the hour. And they get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do so. And they won't help flight attendants. The working class, which is the middle class, is being screwed once again by the same party that's been screwing them for 10 years in a row. And what's being done about it? Nothing. And it's sickening. And only the Conservatives are the ones who care. But according to the Liberals and Jagmeet Singh, oh no, we care about workers, and the Conservatives are evil, and they want to give these evil corporations tax breaks. Meanwhile, they're allowing these evil corporations to rip off their employees. Nice, huh? I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say about this one, so please don't be shy. Leave a comment. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help me out. We got messages to spread. Thanks for watching. I'll be back shortly with a new one.